Entry 5. Those who speak strange tongues. As the shadow path escaped its containment, I ran out of the room, hoping it hadn't noticed me. But it had. I turned a corner and stayed still, trying to hear for sounds of movement. I peeked the corner of the hole to see the shadow path, using its tentacles to feel around, searching. Its head was sniffing around. No, it seemed to be. It didn't have eyes, which meant echolocation. That was it. Before I could figure out my next move, the monster snarled and jumped towards me, and I dodged the attack and ran for the stairs, trying to dodge its clawed limbs as I did so. The shadow path was faster than me, that was for sure. I needed to somehow injure it, so I found a room, hid, and waited. I was lucky it didn't have eyes. It passed the room quick, searching. With a random book I took off a desk, I threw it in the opposite direction of the shadow path, near the staircase. The creature crawled back, snarling, ripping the book to shreds, lightning fast. As it did so, I stepped into the hallway and emptied my gun into it. It barely harmed the creature. However, I had managed to injure its movement, making it just manageable to escape. However, I had made the stupid mistake of rushing into a room, which I had thought was another way out. The shadow path grew ever closer, and I threw a binder at it. The shadow path sensed the object and snapped its head out, easily snapping the object in two. Then I had an idea. If it was quick to bite, perhaps I could get it to ingest something dangerous. I remembered what was included in the standard mission pack: stun grenade. I frantically tried to find them, tossing more objects at the shadow path, which ate them up, growling. I unpinned the first stun grenade I found and tossed it at the shadow path, who caught it and ate it. I jumped back as the explosive detonated inside the monster, sending a wave of electricity through the beast. It wailed in pain as it flailed around, until it let out a final growl, and then fell to the floor, dead. I found the nearest window and looked back at the village. Gale Shard, whatever that long-limbed thing was, and the others were now heading into a road that was obscured by trees. I looked through my binoculars and found a sign. They were going towards the cave system. I had to find out what they were doing. I remembered that I needed a suit to enter the cave safely, so I returned to the room with the shadow path containers and took one. Then, I realized something. The other shadow paths had escaped. I turned to see a broken window. On the ground, I saw the monsters running away. I put on a suit, which luckily didn't restrict movement at all. It was more like a swimsuit than some sort of bulky robotic suit. Now safe, I made my way down the building and towards the caves. It was quite a long journey, and by the time I got there, Gale Shard and her people had already entered the caves. "Hey," a whisper said, not so quietly. I turned around to see if anyone had spotted me, or if it was my imagination. "Hello?" "Kieran," it said. "Over here." I checked a nearby bush and found none other than my partner, michorvath. "What are you doing here? You've been missing from your job." "That's not important," Mitchell replied. "We have to stop Gale Shard." Then I noticed something odd. He wore a suit similar to mine, but his had a deer's head embroidered on it. "Who do you work for? Who are these deer-head people?" "That's not important right now," Mitchell argued. "The director said someone was going to help me out, and that's you apparently." "Who's the director?" "You know him as the informant. Now let's get in that cave." "So you don't really work for Company 7? "No, not anymore. 3 years ago, I was approached by 2 groups that told me of a group who wanted to summon a god of light to kill the unworthy. I have tracked down the organization, and I think everything ends up here." Suddenly, we both heard a snarl. We turned to see a shadow path directly behind us. "Go!" Mitchell yelled. "I'll hold it off." I ran in the cave, leaving my mysterious partner to deal with the monster. I followed the footsteps made by Gale's people, and soon I came upon some sort of temple. It was magnificent, built of gold, adorned with jewels, and it had unnatural orange statues that glowed in the dark. I found Gale Shard placing skulls atop pedestals in a large room. In the centre was a gold statue of something humanoid, long-limbed, and had no face. Instead, a bunch of strange symbols were on it. "Where is the sixth skull?" Gale roared, aiming her anger at someone who looked like a scientist.
"It should be here," the man replied. "We searched all over the world and only found those 5.
"The skull of the blinded should be here," Gale snapped. Then I realised that I had the skull of the blinded. It was what the Black Gate had given me. I took it out and couldn't help but smile as I realised whatever Gale was trying to do, it wasn't going to work without it. "No matter," Gale growled. "We may not be able to return the One of Light back to life, but we can return someone else." "Who?" asked a person. "Kane Hunter, the Dark Salesman," she replied. I wondered who in the world was Kane Hunter, but when she said the name, I saw an image of a tall man with a fedora, reflected by the statue.
"Are you sure?" the scientist guy asked. "Isn't Kane Hunter extremely dangerous? Why not summon someone else like—"
"Who else can we summon then?" Gale snarled.
"With 5 skulls," the man began. "We can summon just about any dead person back to life."
"Interesting," Gale replied. "Do you have a specific person we could return to life? Because if you don't, Kane Hunter, however dangerous he might be, is our best choice."
"I suggest we return Leviathan Kane back to life, and if it succeeds, then we summon Kane Hunter. However, we will not be able to use this location again. There's a cooldown of about 2 years, so we'll have to use another Kokeu temple to summon the other."
"Do we know of another temple?"
"There's a site in Patagonia with 3 temples inside a city."
"Very well. Let us return Leviathan Kane, the unfortunate traveller, back to life." I wondered who this Leviathan Kane fellow was. I had never heard of them or Kane Hunter. If I had backup, I would have tried to stop them, but by myself, it would be impossible. There was another reflection, but it was obscured by Gale. So I could only sit and watch as Gale Shard began to speak some ancient unknowable language, burn a strange glowing plant, and splash a vial of blood onto the gold statue. I heard a loud echoing voice coming from the statue.
"Travellers,"
it began.
"what do you wish to be restored to you?"
"God of Light," Gale began, "return to us Leviathan Kane." The ground shook, yet Gale's people all remained standing. I saw something erupt from the ground, just in front of the massive statue. It was a large stone coffin, with mysterious murals depicting strange beasts and creatures carved into it. The cave shook, and stalactites fell as the coffin began to crack open, slowly but surely. With a deafening snap, the coffin fell to pieces, and a strange person in a trench coat too long appeared. The man had unnatural white hair that somehow I knew used to be a different colour. He had strange dark glasses in the shape of a star on, obscuring his eyes.
"Oh,"
he began, cackling maniacally, lifting his hands up, causing the cave to begin to crumble.
"How it feels good to be back."
I ran as the cave began to fall all around me, making sure not to be seen by Gale Shard, that strange Leviathan Kane, and any of the others. The entrance was sealed, and I barely made it out in time. Mitchell and the shadowpath were nowhere to be seen. I headed for cover as I heard stones begin to move. I watched, safe up in a tree, as one by one, the boulders which had sealed off the entrance were pushed away. Soon, Leviathan Kane was revealed, working his strange powers to crumble any other stones to dust. I ran away from the scene and used my company transmitter to call for evacuation. Within minutes, I saw a helicopter in the sky, and I waved to them. They threw down a ladder, and I was about to climb it when I saw a flash of blinding light, and the vehicle was in flames, burning and soon exploding. Suddenly, I heard a group of people surround me. I turned, expecting to see Gale Shard, or one of her people. Instead, I saw Mitchell Valaroos and a team of soldiers, all with the deer head symbol on their clothes. But what unsettled me the most was who, or what, seemed to be the leader of the group. There was a humanoid form, made of swirling, dripping colour. The abstract being's colours changed and glowed in a strange, soothing way, but its spiraling, faceless form still sent shivers down my spine. "Take him to the Julian Page Institute," spoke the liquid human, almost like a lullaby. And that's when it all went dark.